Listen, I know it was only one map in this series that I truly did not like, but it still feels like so long since I've had fun playing a map for this series. Mauer der Toten was the third DLC, but only the second round-based DLC map to come to Cold War Zombies. It carried a lot of weight, as with the addition of Outbreak, it had been a long time since the round-based community got a new map in their Zombies mode. This map was going to have to deliver something to re-engage the community. I want to talk about if that was successful and what the legacy of this map has become since then. As we have been doing with this little series, let me know what map you'd like to see done that we haven't covered yet in the comments below, and thank you for suggesting this map. This one is for you. As I have done and will continue to do, I'm going to play this map a bunch, and then report back after all of that and tell you what I'm thinking about this map now in the current day. I'll be back in a while, though for you it'll only be a second. I know, time travel is crazy. Welcome back, and hello again to you beautiful people. So, Mauer der Toten, am I right? Let's drop into this, and right off a spawn we are met with a nice, dark night map, which is a good switch up after D Machine and Firebase Z, so that is appreciated. I mean, for me, my eyes are so abysmally garbage that dark maps are generally a bit harder for me to play, but that's a me issue, not one with the map itself. You start on a demolished rooftop and have to zipline around to work your way down to ground level and then even further to the sub-level with a subway system. This map is not large, and it spends a lot of space going vertical, which does help change up the typical game flow a bit from what we were seeing around these times. For me, the layout is neither a positive nor a negative. It's alright. At times, it does feel quite slow to get where you want to go, but once you're settled in, it isn't too bad. Thankfully, it is a layout that doesn't take too long to figure out, but still not my favorite in terms of how it flows. I have to add here that the broken zipline by Quick Revive is funny, and even more funny that it was never fixed. Thankfully, it is an easy fix by yourself, just simply pausing and resuming will do the trick, but the fact that this still exists is funny to me. If it were truly game-breaking, then I would definitely have an issue. So, you explore the map and work to get power on, which, hey, it isn't a typical power switch. I mean, there is a power switch, but it fails when you try the first time and you've got to go collect fuses to fix it. This is easy and a solid way to shake up a simple thing like power just a little bit. Well, now the map is opened and explored, power's on, so the last big simple map progression step would to be get Pack-a-Punch open, which is another simple change that is nice. You have to prove yourself worthy and take on the new enemy type in the Disciple. We will talk more about that enemy later. Once you defeat the Disciple and his allies, you are now able to Pack-a-Punch. I appreciate that this is simple, but again changes the typical game flow just a little bit.
I think we can all agree that the time for foreplay is at its delicious end.
Not that I've actually delayed for long, but I feel like I've delayed long enough, and it is now time to talk about the best part of this map, and that is, like most of Cold War, its wonder weapon. Oh yes, the Cerberus is great, but first, let's acquire it. Little game of hide and seek with the black light and drawings on walls will lead you to a safe combination which, thank you Treyarch, you allow us to put the code in peace without being assaulted by zombies. But it is as easy as that. Grab the code, enter the code, bing bang boom, you have the wonder weapon. This in its base form is, spoiler alert, the best that it will be in this map, and outside of the ray gun is the best wonder weapon in this game. It is fun and powerful. The way to do these so-called upgrades is entirely different from other wonder weapons where the variants simply drop from enemies and you can snag them off the ground. If you run out of ammo in a variant, it will revert right back to the base version again for you. This system works great, and the drops are plentiful so you don't have to worry about waiting around for one. Plus, there is only one step that requires a variant specifically, so you can easily pick that one up, go do that step right away, and then go right back to the base version. None of the variants are bad though. They are only a little behind the original, but it's just so much easier to keep the base version and roll with that without any of the little tiny transitions between changing. I do like the shotgun cone damage one. I think it's pretty strong and fun. The explosive one struggles, but most of that is mainly due to a forced double shot that's a little slow. All in all, they're all great variants, and the base is so good that this wonder weapon is one of my favorites for sure. Simple, fun, powerful. All good things in my mind, and yet another showcasing of the main strength within Cold War Zombies being its wonder weapons. Something I did forget about with Mauer der Toten was just how many enemies were introduced here in Mauer, as well as how many enemies there are in general. For new things, let's start on the low end with the Tormentors. They're the dog round type enemy. They're faster, low health, they explode when killed. Really nothing to be excited over or complain about here. They're just a solid enemy. Then we have the disciples who float around and can directly attack you with a life drain, but most of their time is spent increasing the health and aggression of the other zombies as their form of hurting you. They are pretty easy to take out, but if you don't do it quickly, they can start to cause issues. Here in Mauer, where they started, they visually fit in great and enhance the gameplay in a positive way, so I call that a win. The Crancy Soldat is the big chonker of the map and is of course a spin on the original Origins Panzer. This behemoth of a tank likes to launch himself large distances to close ground on his target. He also likes to incinerate them. Naturally, he is the tankiest enemy of the map, but he is not tough to kill most often. Focus him and his health will drop quickly enough. Inspired by the Panzer, with a large part of his attack being a flamethrower, yeah, he's not that much different than things we've seen before, so it could be better, but I'm overall satisfied enough with this enemy overall. Now, as for what is all in this map for enemies, we of course have the three we just talked about, but we also have Manglers, Tempests, Mimics, and Megatons. The good news is that these reused enemies are implemented sparingly and are much more focused on being used during various Easter egg steps. This format of using older enemies is one that I don't mind as much when compared to thrusting all the old enemies into the normal gameplay loop. These don't appear much, and the wonder weapon of the map deletes them and makes them pretty irrelevant anyway. I guess I don't know why they didn't stick with the plethora of new enemies they already added and use those in the Easter egg steps, but oh well. Could have been better, but also absolutely could have been worse. I am fine with this being the way they used old enemies in this map, though again I would have preferred if they just used their new enemies for this. They already had them. A footnote before we get into the Easter egg steps is I want to talk about story and specifically Klaus after that. We know that in Cold War there is no set crew, so the operators you play as don't do anything themselves. They exist, and when in cutscenes they are there, but you aren't even sure if there's a thought being had behind their lifeless eyes. It makes the story of this game so unbelievably hard to engage with and get invested into. I do not care even a little what is being said by my brain-dead operator, and being talked at by the actual characters gets tiring when it feels like you aren't actually involved. That is why I love Klaus being here so much. It almost feels like you have a singular set crew character because when you are playing Mauer, Klaus is always there. No matter what operator you are, no matter what operator your team plays as. Plus, he has quotes that are fun to listen to as you use him in the Easter egg or him in general as a mobile turret. Inside Cold War, there is a severe lack of character to any of these maps. Klaus adds some here and is a breath of fresh air within Cold War Zombies that was desperately needed. Where there are no interesting characters and a lack of identity to these Cold War maps, Klaus comes in to at least provide some. It is a part of why Mauer stands out within the Cold War catalog. Another small help is the Cerberus Wonder Weapon also actually having voice lines built into it, which is another small boost of character and ironically to the liveliness of this undead-infested map. Now it is Easter egg time, and here in Mauer we have my favorite egg of Cold War. This one is not excellent in the grand scheme of zombies, but it is a step above the rest of Cold War in basically every aspect. Collecting some parts, but it's not a collectathon here at all. You have to take some canisters, charge them and return them, use Klaus to stop the subway, and grab a few things there before summoning groups of enemies to execute and take uranium from. You have to smash the uranium pieces together and return the dropped pieces to the lab below the map. Do that last part twice, and you're in the boss fight. I simplified the explanation of the egg there, of course, a little bit, but it is similar to other eggs in how simple and short it is. The longest part really becomes waiting around to gear up enough for the boss fight. Let's take a look at where we were in zombies at this time before talking about the boss fight. Black Ops 3 had boss fights in all of its maps except for the Giant. Not all were great, but they were only getting started with them. Black Ops 4 had some of the very best boss fights in zombies in terms of spectacle and mechanics. Then we get to Cold War and we have D Machine, which didn't have a boss fight at all. We then have Firebase Z with the Orda fight. The Orda being the simple reoccurring enemy that we had seen in that map many times before the final fight, which was quite a boring fight anyway. So we were rather starved for a real boss fight, and thankfully Mauer gave us one in round-based. Fighting Valentina, you have to work through many stages where she does have some varied attacks. She has a ranged attack of spikes that she shoots, and she also has a wipe mechanic you have to hide from. I'm always a fan of wipe mechanics, as long as they actually function without bugs, but we're good here, just saying if it's bugged, it pisses me off, but when they work well, I do like wipe mechanics. She will also occasionally summon zombies around her that you need to eliminate, or she will heal herself a lot. After many stages, you get her back into the lab and finish her off. This is by far the boss fight of Cold War, and is another check in Mauer's list of good deeds. Is it my favorite boss fight ever? No, but it is a good one that I enjoyed doing, and enjoyed more than I remembered it in my head before coming back. Now, after the boss is defeated, I find the end of this map to be pretty poorly crafted. You wait around while characters waffle over the radio for a while. You are then given a cutscene in which Klaus nominates himself to deliver a BOMB for you, and now you have to defend him. He makes it up there pretty quickly, and then you just have a constant stream of zombies going around, which you can pretty easily eliminate, but the thing is, this goes on for a while. And it made me start to question if my game was bugged because of how long it goes. All told, it is roughly 2 minutes, but for basically more than half of that, nothing is happening, so you don't know what is going on or if you're bugged. They definitely could have cleaned this up better to make it move faster, or at least show visually that Klaus is still doing something, but eventually he just kind of gets lost in the portal and you can't tell what's going on, and you don't actually know if the step is progressing. Either way though, you are done with Mauer der Toten, and now you can reflect on how important this was to your characters. Oh yeah, no, I forgot, we don't have characters, we have husks. The cutscenes in this game are genuinely so empty and hollow, it is hard to feel anything at all when they play. So that's Mauer der Toten, I suppose. But what do I think about it? Well, I went in expecting to like it, as I have since it came out, but here we actually have a map that I think I like more now than I did before. The problem is that Mauer der Toten is trapped in Cold War. Cold War's wonder weapons have remained fantastic, but much of the gameplay systems are still clunky and rough to use. These early iterations of what we now call modern mechanics really needed more smoothing out, which we have seen now across Black Ops 6 and 7. 2 types of salvage makes things feel really slow in progression, everything being a menu within the match really slows you down, so pack-a-punch is slow. Getting armor is slow, and this is easily the worst kind of armor without being able to carry reserves. Upgrading your gun rarity feels like it takes forever with, again, that split salvage system. Plus, it's all in Cold War, which I stand by saying is a pretty ugly game. I do appreciate its art style being more saturated in color and all, but the actual quality isn't great. I'm really not much of a graphics snob, to be honest. I care much more about smooth, consistent FPS, but man, something about how Cold War looks has always thrown me off. All of this is what makes Mauer der Toten a map I desperately want to see brought into the updated Black Ops 7 systems. Oh, that could be so good, and it is why I hold out hope for a Chronicles 2. Out of all modern maps, this is the one I most want to see given a shot at redemption in current systems. It is already a really good map, but with that second chance, it may easily move into the great or higher like an excellent map. Granted, if they did do this, there are things they would have to make be similar to how they play in Cold War compared to what happens now currently. Mainly, the one that comes to mind the most is how the wonder weapons work. These wonder weapons are really stupid strong. Plus, you're also getting dropped ammo consistently from enemies, so it kind of makes them feel close to unlimited ammo. It's kind of hard to run out of ammo with how many drops there are, and that's a big part of why these maps are fun, is because the wonder weapons are so good. That is their thing. Black Ops 7 doesn't drop ammo as much. It tends to make weapons a little bit weaker than Cold War does, so even then, I need them to keep those things similar to how Cold War played versus Black Ops 7, but otherwise give us all the other updates to Black Ops 7. We haven't done many maps in this series yet, but I would confidently say that this has been my favorite so far. Mauer der Toten is a diamond in the very rough, and it deserves a second chance, so go petition for that and let Treyarch know we still want a Chronicles 2. That is going to do it for this return to Mauer der Toten. Thank you again for recommending it, and thank you all for watching. What did you think of Mauer der Toten when it came out, and what do you think of it now? Do you still want a Chronicles 2? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next video, which is likely to be a video about Totenreich after it's out.